Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Evolution League Racing. As per usual, I notice it's not picking up my mic on Twitch, so I'll try to fix that. Yes, good evening to those on Twitch who had to wait that little bit longer just to have the displeasure of hearing my voice. Spitfire Boy coming around the last corner to set the first round qualifying with a 1 minute 12.125. But we are back for round number 2 of season number 2. Zandvoort in reverse, with Polytrump going fastest with a 109.8, Liam Wilder 110.2, Hart with a 111.3. The one pole position point in effect again. Just as a reminder, I believe it's short qualifying. I am going to have to check that one. Indeed, it is one short qualifying session, so whatever you set now is what's going to count. Footface 111.3 to go into P3. Ahmed 111.3 to go ahead of him, also into P3. Mr. Business 110.1, the championship leader at the moment, having taken the full set of points in the last race for the win and for pole position. And Charlotte with a 110.9 to go into P4, behind a temporary teammate of Liam Wilder. There's a Ferrari coming around the last corner of Stefan, doing it what I believe is his first race here today. Around the last corner he comes. And he goes into P4 with a 1 minute 10.216. Quite a few close in that top 4, all within less than 4/10 of one another. And then it's closer, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all within a 10th. So it's, quite close around the field. Here comes Om coming into that last corner. There's originally the first, was obviously in reverse. He's keeping overtake on through the corner, which is not fastest way to do it, but across the line he goes with a 111.251 to go narrowly ahead of Ahmed and up into P6. And I think that's mostly the first round's done. Dan and Mike both heading out at the same time to start their laps together. Mike will be getting a little bit of a tow from his Haas teammate. Neither of them racing last time out, so a little bit behind in the championship. But at this early stage, it's not going to make too much of a difference just yet. But you never know, those points could be all important in the later stages of the championship. Just follow Miss Business around, who has been going again, but obviously Mike and Dan, the pair of them, coming through the last couple of corners. Dan taking us through the carousel, which is originally turn number 3, now would be turn number 12, into the last corner, which is originally turn number 1. A little bit early on the initial apex, will have cost him a bit of time on the exit, but he comes across the line to go up into P5 with a 110.3. His teammate behind, 6/10 off with a 110.9. But that will be the order after the first qualifying runs. And Mr. Business, who's gone for a second time, just a 109.841 to go to provisional pole after the second run on that set of tyres. A few yellow flags around the lap, but that's just drivers trying to get out of the way on slower runs. I don't know how audio quality compares on this stream compared to other ones that I've done. I've just got my mic in a slightly different position. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, I'm not too sure. Hart's coming through first couple of corners on his lap, going into quite a high-speed chicane, but it is still the slowest part of the circuit on this layout. It's a difficult second apex, because then you need to get on the power, and such difficult traction zone. He's 4/10 up through that first sector alone. Could start challenging the top 5 if he can continue this rate of improvement. I think that's Charlotte just going again in the Mercedes, which indeed it is. And then it's Cookface coming through the last couple of corners. But the next driver across the line on a flying lap at the moment will be the Williams right here, coming up the hill of what's originally turn number 7. 6 cents up on his personal best. He's really getting himself towards the point of challenging that top 7. He's still going to need a substantial improvement through this last sector. So lock up through the carousel of the original turn 3, coming around into the last corner. Gets it stopped, rotated again a little bit early on the apex. Will have cost him that tiny bit of time on the run to the line. It's so much further than you think it would be. It's a 7/10 improvement in the end to go to a 1 at 10.6 and P6. Polytromp goes faster still with a 109.7 on those fresh tyres, using them to good effect. But I mean, we saw this last week of Polytromp setting the early pace, but just couldn't get it when it mattered. Cookface has gone off. Oh no, there's contact! I think that was Ahmed. He went into the back of the Red Bull. Indeed it was. It's a 5-place grid penalty for the Red Bull driver. Ahmed, luckily, seems to be okay. But I'd imagine he'd have a bit of front wing damage from that collision. So Cookface made a mistake, was trying to get back going again. But then he's straight onto the racing line as Liam Walder goes fastest with a 109.712. Takes that provisional pole, but there's plenty of time for those behind to improve. I think drivers are just starting to head their way back into the pit lane. So we've got half a second up through that first sector, or a bit under that. Then there's the Mercedes and Ferrari. It's Perkins and Stefan sharing the same piece of road. Don't think Perkins is improving, so we shall follow along with the Alpine, who's 4 tenths up through that first sector. Coming to the end of sector 2, he hits the wall, and he's out of qualifying. It's just a slide, and the barrier is so close on the outside. He's speared that rear wheel off. And it's not often that you see a rear wheel being lost on this game. But there's a perfect example that it can very much happen if you get it wrong. That's a big crash, big enough that the rear wheel has fallen off, which are normally pretty much indestructible on the Codemasters games. But you can't take that for granted. Got a slide on the exit, got on the grass, and that is his qualifying done. A 1:11.2 is the best that he will do in this session, and we could well see him starting comfortably outside the top 10, maybe even towards the back of the field. And he's already in the bottom half, and you'd expect everyone else to improve further. Here comes Stefan, past the corner, where the Alpine came to an untimely end. 3 tenths up through those first 2. We'll see him ahead of Mr. Business. Probably not ahead of Mr. Business, so we'll see him close to it as he comes through the last couple of corners. He's got the last corner awaiting him. The original first corner, this time, he takes a slightly wider apex, slightly later. And that will just slightly boost the straight line speed. It's a 4/10 improvement to put him onto a 109.794. And he's not far behind those front 2. It's a very close qualifying session, and we could see a very tight pole margin. I'm interested in what we'll see with strategy this week, because obviously last week there were many safety cars that did not help the strategy situation. Mike goes into P5, which you'd expect. No, it's not. Beaten by his teammate, though Dan, I think, is only just starting his lap going into turn number 1, right behind his teammate, who's going to get the toe and hopefully not get held up. Mike does get out of the way, and Dan takes us way through the chicane at the end of sector 1. And he's a tiny bit up on his personal best. Spitfire Boy not improving by very much as he comes across the line. He finds a 10th in the last sector, but he's still 7 tenths off. Here comes Polytromp, followed quite closely by Charlotte, with the McLaren right behind the pair of them. Stefan will be coming into the pit lane as Clifty Clive just starts his run. But now we watch Dan coming through the final couple of corners, he's 1 to 2 tenths up on his personal best, which will only see him ahead of his teammates as things stand, unless he can find some time through this final corner. He gets it rotated on the power, and now we await what the lap time will be. It's a 1:10.0, but it is only ahead of his teammate. You can't challenge Mr. Business and the top 4 just yet, but maybe if he gets the final run together, he will be in with a chance. Body Trump improving on his already very strong lap time. Going through the carousel, a bit of a lock-up on that front right tyre, but he's going to hold on. Here's a slide coming through turn 2. He gets right the way onto the grass, and he does back off that run very late, as I'm sure he will have just seen the timer flip into the red as he comes into the pit lane. Will save a bit of that set of tyres. Perkins can't improve. Only a half-tenth improvement. The McLaren behind does go faster than up into P9. Clifty Clive coming around to the last corner isn't improving at the moment. Clifty Clive not improving at this stage, and I don't think anyone on the circuit is currently pushing, so we can turn to see how this qualifying session is going so far. Liam Wilder on provisional pole with a very narrow margin over Polytromp, who's narrowly ahead of Stefan, who's not that far ahead of Mr. Business either. If we look at the delta time, it's a 1/10.5, less than that, separating the top 4. And DRA is just going to go again at this point in the session, which is an interesting decision. I personally would have come in and got a new set of tyres, but and we'll see as well. We've got Cookface going out again. He's got a 5-place grid penalty at the moment. And DRA's down on his personal best through those first couple of sectors, so I doubt we'll see improvement at the end. Wouldn't be surprised to see the McLaren coming into the pit lane as they go through these last couple of corners. Footface has almost been caught out again, finding himself impeding McLaren. This time, he doesn't seem to do so. Run the last corner, comes the McLaren, and I doubt we'll see an improvement here. Yeah, no, it's 3 tenths down. And will stay in P9, and likely won't set another lap in the session. Yeah, so he's just got Cookface starting what will likely be his final flying run, going through the original turn 10. Got the McLaren up in front of him, who he let out of the way earlier through Sector 1. We'll hope that the favour is returned as he heads up towards the hill. And it's just such a fun corner in reverse, but you can see that it can bite, as we saw with him. 3 tenths up for the Red Bull driver, getting it stopped, rotating through the carousel. Back on the power, he's going to go as quickly as he dares. There's only so much he can do through that section of track. There's not much that the game will let you get away with. Here he comes, round the last corner, using all the remaining battery that he's got. He improves, but only by just under 2 tenths to go up into P10, but it won't stand, and he will be starting last with that 5-place grid penalty. Clifty Clive and Ahmed just going again. But we wait. A body drop just starts his final run. He's going to need this one if he wants any chance of pole position. Currently sitting second behind Liam Wilder. Spitfire Boy coming around the last corner. It's half a second to 6 tenths up. Needs a bit more than that to challenge the drivers around him. Goes up into P12 with a 1:11.2. Here comes Liam Wilder. He's down on his time, and he's not going to improve upon his provisional pole position time. Hart's made a mistake through the last couple of corners. He's not going to be improving either, as Mike heading down in towards the final couple of corners. He's 2 tenths up through the first 2 sectors. He's going to need a bit more than that if he wants to get ahead of his teammate, and more if he wants to challenge it elsewhere. Cross the line. It's not enough, and it will start from P6. Perkins take provisional pole out of absolutely nowhere with such an improvement. Polytrump coming down to the last couple of corners. He's down on his personal best, and it could be Charlotte that we see taking pole position. The uppy driver comes across the line, and I don't think he's improving by enough. He does get it, just about, by 10,000th of a second. Polytrump secures pole right at the end, unless Dan can do anything about it. He does! He does right on the last laps. He's stolen the pole away. And it's going to be Dan on pole, taking that pole position point by 1/10.5. What a lap at the end of the session. Polytrump in second place, Charlotte in third, when it looked like she might have had that pole. Polytrump wasn't improving after those first 2 sectors. Liam Wilder in fourth, with Stefan in fifth, Mr. Business in sixth. But those top 6, if they got laps in, they would have all been so close to one another. Polytrump will be kicking himself after that one as well, with Mike in 7th, Ahmed 8th, Clifty Clive 9th, and Hartz in 10th as well. EJ not setting a time in the session, but he'll start 14th if he actually starts. But we have quite the race ahead of us here. Like, Dan on pole, will he be able to keep that? I mean, are we going to see a qualifying session better than that? That, like, such a qualifying session. And we've got a minute. We should be going about now. And if the race is going to be anything like that qualifying session, I cannot wait. And the formation lap gets underway. Here in Zandvoort. In reverse, heading in towards that banked first corner. It's going to be so chaotic on lap 1. I don't know how Zandvoort's going to be for racing. I've never seen it, like racing in reverse. But I can imagine going down the hill through banked turn 1, completely flat out, on lap 1, someone's going to find themselves in that barrier. Pretty much everyone on the medium tyres. Charlotte's gone with the... Liam Wilder's taking a unique choice of racing line there. Charlotte's on the hard tyres. Pretty much everyone else on the mediums. Hart's going with the softs, which is what he did in... when was it? It was the Silverstone pre-season. On day 1 of the game. I'm just going to turn my mic down slightly because I know I was, hitting like the max that it can do. And that... Oh, it's done the thing with the audio where it's really weird. Yeah, every time I go into a new session, my audio gets louder. But Dan lines us up on the starting grid. The last car to do so will be one of the Salvers now, because Cook has decided he doesn't want it to be him. Ahmed's missed his grid spot as they all line up. It's going to be the last car of EJ. Getting himself parked up on the grid. Spitfire boy misses his spot as well. But we wait the lights for the Dutch Grand Prix in reverse. 5 red lights, 36 laps. Ahead of the drivers, it's lights out, and away we go, and Polytron gets a good start, and he will be challenging down by the time they get down to that first corner. Who's going to make it there first? I think Polytron on the inside has the advantage. They go wheel to wheel, there's a Williams in the wall. As I said, there's a car in the wall already, but Polytron takes the lead into turn number 1. Dan has to settle in for second, getting out of shape there. That's Stefan, who's had an awful start. Dan trying to fight him. There's contact, there's a Mercedes backwards. There's that Charlotte, who had such a good qualifying, has found herself the wrong way through the first chicane. Dan wanting to fight Polytron back, round the outside into turn number 10. He can't quite make it stick as Liam Wilder just sits settling behind them. He's going to try to turn 9. He's got so much more grip on those tyres that they're fired up so much quicker, and he's made it work through what's originally turn number 9 will be... I don't want to count them in reverse. But now Polytron gets the run. As they go down the hill into the carousel, it surely is too far back to make the move. They might send one on the inside. He's going to try it, but he can't make the move stick. But this racing on lap 1 already has been exceptional so far. Ahmed's got himself up into 5th place because of the poor start for Stefan and the spin for Charlotte, who's now still on the back of the field pretty much. She's not outside the DRS just yet, which is quite impressive so far. Here comes Liam Wilder in the wheel tracks of Polytron. Might think about the move into turn 1, but surely is that a little bit too far back. He does have to back out of the move. You cannot do much into the first couple of corners in Zandvoort reverse. You have to have the DRS, and you have to be pretty much ahead to be able to go for a move there. Not quite. You can make a bit up under braking, as we saw with Dan and Polytron, but there's only so much you can do. But Charlotte there going past Spitfire boy round the outside into the original turn 10. Now has to close up to Om ahead of her, but it's damage limitation so far in the race for the Mercedes. Polytrump's just had to settle behind Dan over the course of this lap. But he's going to be right there when DRS gets enabled in a few corners' time. Dan takes us through the carousel with Polytrump still right there behind him, ready to bounce into turn number 1 as they go through the last corner. Ahmed is in danger of losing the DRS, which he might just have done, which would allow Stefan straight through. He did indeed lose the DRS. Stefan will go past. It's the fastest lap of the race for Polytrump as he tried to challenge for the race lead. Round the outside into turn number 1. Is it going to work out? It gives down the inside line. Polytrump swoops from the outside and retakes that race lead. Dan's going to fight it into the chicane. There's a bit of contact between the two of them, but Polytrump does maintain that position. Here comes the Haas with the DRS though. He's got the rear wing open. He's going to go for the inside, but Polytrump claims the corner, chops him off, and Dan has to settle for that second place for the time being. He'll get the opportunity to fight him back on the next lap. So Mike's moved up into 5th. As all of that went on, there was a yellow flag, as that's Ahmed, who's gone, he's had a spin, he's gone down to 15th place. He's going to try the lunge on Spitfire Boy, who gets on the curb and goes straight on into the wall. EJ's out of the race as well. He's done the same as what Om did in qualifying. And we get a virtual safety car early on in this race. The race is neutralised, which is great for Spitfire Boy, who just hit the wall. Is it a full safety car? It is! It's a full safety car! The game doesn't tell me that, but it is. I saw the yellow flag board from Spitfire Boy. The safety car is on the track. Hart is coming into the pit lane to make his first stop of the race. Likely will have to make another one. But we will get a full restart in a couple of laps at a time. I mean, what a race we're having so far. It's only lap 4, I know, but it's been non-stop action over those first few laps. I might just have to take some measure to cool myself down, because I am starting to overheat. It's like 30 degrees outside, and it's way too warm. And to make it worse, there's about 50% humidity. Did I not say there'd be a car on the wall at turn 1 on lap 1? And there was. There was multiple, I'm pretty sure. EJ's left the session, as that's his race over. It's a shame for him, after how strong of a race he had in Singapore. Yeah, I assume he just lost the car a bit and found it in the wall. If I was able to, I would show a replay. But there's no replay feature in the game, which is just really sad. We'll have a couple more laps under the safety car before we go racing again. I'm interested how the safety car restart would work at this circuit. Because if you can pull alongside into turn 1, we've seen how cool. Like, there's no other way to put it other than just it's so cool to see cars side by side through turn 1. EJ tried to take the corner flat out, and he took the corner flat out, found a wall, and didn't have time to react, is what he said. Which sounds completely believable. But we'll get the safety car coming in to the pit lane, probably at the end of this lap. And then, the question will be, can Dan get involved on the restart? My inclination is yes. But we'll just have to wait and see. Safety car's in! At the end of this lap, as I predicted, Polytromp getting those front tyres up to temperature. He's definitely taking his time on this restart. We see on board with Dan here. He's got Liam Wilder behind, so he can't get too aggressive. Polytromp will likely choose to accelerate on this traction zone. He's going to wait. You could go quite early at Zandvoort, with this layout. And he goes! Accelerating away into that first corner. Dan's gone with him, but he's not close enough to be able to make a move, most likely, as they go through. Turn number 1 in reverse, and lead away on the safety car restart. And Polytromp's judged it very well to get that gap to Dan, who's not going to be able to fight him into turn 1. There's not really anyone close enough to get involved in a fight before they get to turn number 1, and it's going to stay all as they were through the first corner. Hart's trying to move on Ahmed, but he can't get it done. And they do stay as they were on the safety car restart. Liam Wilder a little bit at risk of falling out of the DRS if he can't get a move on. Currently sitting a second behind as they go into turn number 10. But I think he will just about manage to stay with those in front of him. There's an Alpine and a Mercedes going side by side of Charlton on, but the Alpine can't make that move just yet. He had a look through 10 and through 9 afterwards, but he just couldn't get it done. Liam Wilder, 1.1 seconds behind the front 2. He's in serious danger if he can't find some time through this last sector, and I think Dan knows that because he's pushing to try and drop the Mercedes from his DRS, and I think Liam Wilder is going to be pushing to try and stay in it as they go through the last couple of corners. That would be the intersection point if DRS was active at this stage, but it's not, so he's going to stay with a chance for now. 1.1 seconds is the gap, and he's got basically one corner to get into it. And I don't think he's going to be able to get back into the DRS. It's less OP this game, but it's still very important to be in it, and Liam Wilder is not. So these front 2 have the perfect opportunity to pull away, build that gap, and escape from the DRS train. And if they can do that, they've pretty much secured themselves an ability to fight for the race win between themselves without having to worry about the cars around them. Obviously Dirty Air is increased on this game compared to the last. DRE got past Mike through the first couple of corners, but has lost the DRS to Stefan in front of him, and that is likely going to stay that way for an awfully long while. Perkins, oh, that's a car going off the road. That's Spitfire Boy getting all out of shape, almost hitting on the, as he tries to get the car back under control. There goes Charlotte on Clifty Clive through the carousel, gets the move done, and moves up into 9th place, but loses the DRS in doing so. Does lose the DRS in doing so, and will invite Clifty Clive to come back at her. Liam Wilder, with the fastest lap of the race, pulls back into that 1 second margin and will save himself at this stage of the race. Mr. Business and Stefan look to be slightly at risk of dropping out, but I think they'll be okay as well. As the race just starting to settle down after the frantic first few laps. Oh, Cookface making a mistake and losing many positions down the straight. I think he's gone from 8th down to 12th in one straight. There's contact between Ahmed and Hart as the Williams goes drifting wide, sends the lunge on the McLaren, pushes him off the circuit as well, as Ahmed loses out to the Red Bull. Shark's completely fallen off the back of Clifty Clive after all that happened. Oh, that's the Red Bull of Cookface going into the wall. On the exit of turn 7, which we've already seen, claimed 2 drivers today so far. There's contact between Hart and Charlotte as they go fighting through the last couple of corners. Will invite the Mercedes back into the DRS off the Williams, and will most likely move past into turn number 1. Here's Dan, right on the rear of Polytromp. There's nothing he can do to fight the Alpine just yet. Here comes Perkins on Hart, going round the outside to turn number 1. Hits the wall and somehow isn't out of the Grand Prix, but the safety car's deployed as she hit the wall at such high speed. It looks like the outside line through turn number 1 is not the place to be. Hit the wall with such force. And she's honestly lucky to still be in this race from what we've seen so far. The walls bite at this circuit in reverse. That's for certain. But will we see drivers coming into the pit lane? It's lap 9 of 36, and they do. All come into the pits to make their one and only stop in this race. Or if they are two stopping, now is also the perfect time to do it. As everyone coming into the pits, Ahmed is going to stay out and will take the lead. Oh, Spitfire boy just got into the back of him. I think possibly so, but hasn't picked up any damage, if that's the case. So the top three now are going to be Ahmed, Spitfire Boy and Om. The top two, having already pitted in this race. Om just choosing to stay out on the hard tyres. But otherwise they're going to stay as they were. Before oh no, Dan! Dan has jumped Polytron in the pit lane. He's had a better stop and got out ahead. It's not often you see pit stop overtakes on this game. As normally the pit stops, you know, they're a controlled thing. They don't want to give you pit stop errors in online, but clearly Dan has had a very nice stop to jump ahead of the Alpine. So that puts him in control if he can clear the cars in front. Because Ahmed is going to be in control for the safety car restart. Spitfire Boy is going to be in second, Om in third. Om's going to be holding up Dan for Polytron if they choose to work as a team, which I can very much see happening. I think it's a very strong possibility that they work together and Om tries to benefit his teammates here on this restart. If Om just, you know, goes into perfect speed but just kind of like if Polytron goes for a move on Dan, for example, and Om just slightly slows down in front of Dan, the hatch is just going to be boxed in and Polytron can go swooping around them both. It's just things like that that could happen when you've got two teammates right next to each other, one in the chance for the lead and one not. Obviously these leaders don't need to pit again, this top two. They definitely will. There's no way they go into the end like this. It's way too far to go to the end from here. But it theoretically is possible. And they'll be two stopping though. They'll be waiting for another safety car, then pitting again. I think everyone who's just pitted will be going to the end. Maybe not Charlotte on those mediums. I don't see them making it to the end. She'll be two stopping. The safety car's going to be in this lap though. And it's going to be Ahmed in control on the safety car restart. So Ahmed's going to be controlling the pace on the restart, and he chooses when the entire field goes. He's doing quite a high-speed restart. The safety car's not quite in the pit lane just yet, but Ahmed accelerates away on the safety car restart, and he possibly went a bit earlier than people were expecting, as they all just mid-corner when he chose to accelerate. Dan's going to get the run on going into turn number one if he can get the chance, but he just doesn't have the straight line speed required, so it's going to stay as they were yet again through the first corner. And we've seen that's how you make a safety car restart at this circuit. If you go before the last corner, get everyone in your dirty air, and then you can get a very nice run. On makes a mistake through the exit of the chicane, but Dan does as well. And that invites Polytron to try and squeeze his way through on the inside into turn number 10. And gets past his teammate in 1. And now Om's going to turn to the defence and trying to hold up the Haas, who goes right the way around the outside through turn number 9. But Om just closes the door, doesn't let him through. And Dan's losing so much time, might lose the DRS to Polytron if Om can keep this up. The Haas has to go for the move here, trying to get through in the carousel. And he sends the lunge to the inside, and I think he has made that stick. So he does move up ahead of On for now, but he's got to get a move on, because he's quite the way behind Polytron at the moment, who's got the run on Spitfire Boy to get past through the last corner on the run down to turn 1. Polytron moves up into second place, remains in the net race lead, and Dan's got to keep getting a move on in this race. He's got to stay with the Alpine. He can't let him pull away. He's got to get past Spitfire Boy as soon as possible. Well, that shouldn't be too hard with the DRS that he's going to get. Om's got caught up in an instant as he goes tumbling down the field with a double front locker. Clipping Clive off a turn number 2. But he gets back going again. I'm starting to lose my voice already. It's only lap number 13. Such is the nature of this Dutch Grand Prix in reverse. Dan's still trying to chase Spitfire Boy for third place. He needs to get through to have a serious chance of fighting with Polytron to the end, but he's not had the chance to get that move done just yet. He's right in the wheel tracks of the Sauber though. He's going to try and repeat the move he made on Om as he goes down the hill into the carousel. There's a bit of contact between the two of them as the Sauber tries to defend his position. Dan moves past on the inside, but the Sauber's still there. He has to concede, and Spitfire Boy stays ahead. Dan will get the DRS though as he goes around the outside into the last corner and should now have that move done. Yes, he does. Dan moves up into third place, but he's lost 1.6 seconds to Polytron just through that short sector. Obviously, he gets the DRS now, which will hopefully help him close back up. But for now, Polytron has quite the advantage in the lead, or in the net race lead, of this Dutch Grand Prix. And Spitfire Boy is still there with the DRS to Dan, which will hopefully help him stay ahead of Liam Walder for longer, with Mr. Business and Stefan right behind them if he ends up making even the slightest mistake or fighting someone the tiniest bit too hard. But now Polytron right there with Ahmed for the race lead. If he can just close up that little bit more so that he can get past on the straight. He doesn't have much battery, does the Alpine. He's going to need to get a little bit closer if he wants a chance of going past into turn 1. I don't think it's going to happen just yet. I think he's going to have to wait for that little bit longer before he takes the race lead again. Dan's still not close enough to get in the DRS, but he needs to be quick, does Polytron, or otherwise he'll just allow the Haas to get closer and closer. It's the fastest lap of the race from the Alpine, but it's beaten by the Haas, who's still there, determined to move past. Liam Ward and Mr. Business both go past Spitfire Boy, and now go and try fighting each other into turn number 2. He's not close enough to do so. Polytron has to sit behind Ahmed to get the DRS again, but the move should be pretty much wrapped up as they go into turn number 1. Spitfire Boy's gone off through the chicane on the exit, but he gets back going again. Polytron still is not close enough to take the race lead away. He's going to have to settle for second place still, and he's just going to be held up in the dirty air. Perkins and Om side by side as they go through turn 10 into turn 9, and the Mercedes on the inside does get that move done, but she's fallen out of the DRS of Stefan and those in front of her. Still no way through for Polytron, and now Dan is right there with them again. He's not quite within the second as they go through the carousel. He's getting closer and closer and may well be back in the fight for the race win as he does get the DRS. As they're going to go through the last corner, Polytron has to go past right now, or otherwise he's in serious trouble for later on in the race. Cook Race has gone off through the carousel. He's stopped. He's struggling to get back going. I think he might be beached on the curb. There goes Polytron around the outside. He's not found the opportunity. He's still behind the McLaren, but he gets the run now. Trying to go around the outside into chicane. There's a bit of contact. The wheel locks slightly, and that just drags Ahmed further wide. And Dan sitting here is in the absolute perfect position to capitalise on this lunge from Polytron on the inside, moves past and gets the race lead finally from Ahmed, but he's still not giving it up. It's just a slide on the exit. Ahmed goes off and Dan goes past the pair of them to lead again. Polytron got stuck behind Ahmed for so long, and when he finally made the move, there was contact between the two of them, I believe, and that just allowed Dan to go straight back through. Liam Walder and Mr. Business, Stefan as well, they're all back together in a top 5 because of the holding up that Ahmed was able to do on Polytron. And now Ahmed has just lost the DRS there going into the last corner. Stefan will go straight back past him and hopefully regain it from the cars in front. But Dan now leads. Polytron second, Liam Walder third is right there in the fight. And with a chance of fighting for the lead later on in this Grand Prix. I mean, just what a race we're having so far. It's been non-stop action for the race lead, pretty much. The dullest it got, we then immediately had a safety car afterwards. So, yeah, it's been non-stop fighting for this race lead. And Polytron in second place now needs to get the move done again, as he only just took the race lead for losing it. And now he's going to have to go again. Mr. Business in fourth place, currently the championship leader, may be in danger if Polytron wins the race and he stays in fourth. If I just try and find the standings. Polytron is 14 points behind. So yeah, if he wins the race with Mr. Business down in fourth, I think the gap will become 1 point between the pair of them. So yeah, those two are definitely the ones fighting for the lead of the championship in this race. But, you know, Dan Polytron, Dan and Liam Walder, they can be there if they're consistent enough across the season, based on the pace we've seen today. Polytron's going to try again with the DRS, going into turn number 10, but he's just that little bit too far behind. I am going off the forwards corner numbers through, like, it's weird. I'm talking about the backwards corner numbers when it's obvious, like the first corner, the last corner. But everywhere else I'm using the forward ones because they're the only ones I know. And there's no official track map of the track in reverse, because that would just be silly. And Stefan's almost there back with them. If he can push a little bit more through the next few corners, he might be in with a chance of getting back in the DRS, but I think he's just going to be that little bit too far behind. He's definitely got the pace, but he just can't seem to stay in the DRS train. Polytron very close to Dan on this occasion as they go through the last corner. Will the Alpine be able to fight for the lead? Here he comes with the DRS. He chooses the inside this time around, and I think he's got that move done before they get to turn number 1. There's a bit of contact under braking, but no harm is done to either driver as he takes the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix, with Dan now having to settle behind and await his opportunity to fight him back at a later stage in the race. And Liam Walder still third with Miss Business fourth. They're all within pretty much a second of each other. Dan's, they're all basically within a second of Dan, who's starting to fall back from Polytron, who's exercising that pace he has and trying to pull away from the Haas driver. But Dan's got the battery to use in this section. You know, the main straight of the circuit really but it's not an overtaking opportunity or a DRS zone, as they're going to go into turn 1 and he's going to just about cling onto the DRS. It's closer than he would have liked, but you know, it doesn't matter too much as long as he's actually in it. Polytron sets the fastest lap of the race. Dan's having to burn to stay with the race leader but he will do so. He's going to stay in that second place. Mr. Business could be in danger as he's starting to suffer, falling back from Liam Wilder. He's going to burn a little bit though, and he too is going to stay in the DRS train for now. But Polytron definitely seems to have the pace to pull away if he can just get a couple of good laps in. We saw it before on this race, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see it again. Just seen Spitfire Boy and Clifty Clive, who have... Yeah, they've got some history, the two of them. Although they seem to have made up and be... Yeah, they seem to be friendly with each other. As Clifty Clive goes past into 13th. You know, Dan's still there with Polytron, but he's 6 cents behind on this occasion. I doubt he'll be close enough to challenge a fight. That does make sense. But to, like, make a fight for the race lead, but you never know, 6 cents behind, with a bit of battery as well if he chose to. DRS on this, yeah, it seems to be about 4 tenths or so, so that would be about the margin you'd need to go for a move into turn 1. So that's good to know for later on in the race. I did not mean to pause the game there. What can Dan do as we approach the later stages of this race? And it's not too bad. I've turned my fan on. You might be able to hear it, but I'm absolutely boiling. It's 30 degrees. It's really humid. I'm not dealing with this. I need to actually make it through. It doesn't seem to be too bad from what I'm seeing being picked up, so I'm going to keep it like this. Yeah, actually, that's really nice. It's at the perfect level. Yeah, I like that. But again, Dan's not going to be close enough on this occasion. Mr. Business might have just fallen out of the DRS, so I'm accidentally turning off things at that heads-up display. Mr. Business has fallen outside the DRS of Liam Wilder, but he's going to have the opportunity to use the DRS if he chose to, but he's not using it. He doesn't seem to want to get back in the DRS. I don't understand. He's got so much battery, but he's sitting 1.4 seconds behind, and he's going to drop out of the DRS now. So Mr. Business, in 4th place, has now fallen outside of the DRS of Liam Wilder, sitting in 3rd, and his chances of fighting for the podium seem to be pretty much over. How has Quick Places got a 3-second time only for corner cutting? Where is there to get a straight 3 seconds at this circuit? And he did it at turn 1 somehow. I don't really know how. Oh, not turn 1, the last corner, which is turn 1 if you're going forwards. And Perkins and Charles and Ahmed went racing at one stage, but the Mercedes seems to be comfortably ahead of the McLaren for now. But on those old mediums, 6 seconds behind Stefan, I don't think she's going to get any further in this race, realistically. It's a shame, because, you know, starting on the hard, you would have liked to go a bit longer and not find yourself in a barrier after 2 safety, you know, and just without the safety cars. So I guess the same goes for Om. He's still not pitted yet, by the way. I've only just noticed. Because of the timing of the safety cars, Om chose to stay out, and he's yet to pit. Ahmed has pitted, but that it was early on in the race, in the first safety car, on lap 3 or 4. Oh, he just goes sliding off the road through turn number 2. He's going to stay in the DRS though, so everything is okay as far as he'll be concerned. It's identical battery between the 2 leaders here, like almost perfectly identical, as Cookface is now sped in the pit lane. Might be retiring, I'm not sure. He doesn't seem to be. He goes on to another set of hards, but his race is firmly run. Oh, Charlotte's made a mistake through turn number 9 when you're going forwards. She's found herself in the gravel. There was gravel on her tyres. I'm sure those medium tyres have seen better days. Oh, no, she's out of the race. That is going to be another safety car, most likely. Although, maybe not, apparently. Dan made a mistake through the first couple of corners. Dan made a mistake, gone off, and is going to lose out from the cars in front. He's fallen to 5th. Make that 4th as Mr. Business comes in for another pit stop. But Dan's thrown away an opportunity of second place. There's no safety car for that crash, by the way. But now Polydrom, is he all but set for the race win? Are they going to have to two-stop? I don't know. I don't know what the tyre wear's like. Mr. Business thinks it's going to be a two-stop race as he's come into the pit lane again. Ahmed picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. But now it's going to be really interesting. Mr. Business, 21 seconds behind the race lead, and we'll see how quickly he gains. It will need to be 2 seconds a lap for the rest of the race to make the extra stop worth it. But we'll see later on how it goes. Polytron, I doubt he's going to react to the pit stop off the Aston Martin. No, he doesn't. Polytron staying out. They don't seem to be reacting to this pit stop. Mr. Business is now up into 7th place, having had to get past Hart through the middle sector. Oh, there goes the Williams on the inside of the Aston Martin. There's contact between the two of them. Hart's locked up into the carousel. And that's not going to help Mr. Business's charge for the race win either. There's a yellow flag as that's who's found himself going off. No, it's DRE, sorry, he's in the pit lane. All the battle of those two going on. He's now made some form of mistake. He's in the pit lane. I don't know if he meant to do that. Going on to a set of the soft tyres. It's good to know that the yellow flags are broken on reverse tracks. But with that 1.8 second margin, surely Polytron has this one secured. And Dan in 4th is... He's in trouble. Mr. Business may well make that... Mr. Business will probably jump Dan, but I don't think he'll get much further than that. He's gaining time. He's gained about a second and a half on the last lap, despite being held up by Hearts. Mr. Business could be in with a very interesting last few laps if the two-stop does work out, as it seems like it might right now. Because Mr. Business is currently the fastest driver on track by a country mile. He's got a very strong chance of taking just a very strong result here. As Dan comes into the pit lane from 4th place, he wasn't realistically going to finish ahead of Mr. Business anyway, but it's the fastest lap of the race from the Aston Martin driver with a 1:11.7 to now get himself within 19 seconds of Polytron. He's going to need 2 seconds a lap for the next 10 laps. But I think he is gaining at that rate at the moment. It just depends how these tyres are going to be later on. He wasn't going to be in the top 4 anyway, or the top 3. It was worth the gamble. He's gone with it, and now we're going to see how it plays out. I think we could be in for a very exciting finish as he starts to close up. Although he's not gained too much time on the last lap, only about a second. So he might not be gaining quickly enough, but yeah, he's not all that far behind. Polytron on the last lap has done a 1:13.585. But now we see Mr. Business, who's going to get the DRS as well. The time to beat, 13.5, is what Polytron did. Ahmed comes into the pit lane on those 22-lap old hard tyres. Mr. Business, compared to Polytron, is 1.8 seconds faster. But I don't think that's going to be enough for him to end up closing enough. He's not going to close enough. He's gaining very rapidly, but I don't think it's going to be rapidly enough. I think Polytron will have it covered, but maybe Stefan or Liam Bewalder could be in danger as we get later on in the race. And he's still going faster than his previous laps, mind you. This end to the race could be something very, very special. As Om's coming into the pit lane finally, going on to a set of the soft tyres. And he's going to stay pretty much in the top 10. He is going to be ahead of Clifty Clive still. So Om remains in the top 10, despite making that pit stop. He's going to finish 10th, most likely. We'll see again. Polytron across the line on this occasion does a 1:13.3, so 2/10 faster than on the last lap. Here goes Mr. Business. He's a bit slower than his previous lap. And again, I don't think he's going to be gaining quickly enough, but... And I come... Yeah, it's only a 1.0. It's only 1.3 seconds on that lap. He might be stuck to only a 4th place, but he'll have a chance of fighting for 3rd if he can keep gaining at this rate. First lap of the race on this occasion from Dan in the Haas, but he's also not closing enough to do much at all. He'll get past Hart, and that's it. Cookface with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, languishing down in 13th place. He's obviously not going to be doing too much to challenge. But we see the gap closing down. So we got a yellow flag. That's a Red Bull. It's Cookface who's gone off again for not the first time in this race. Liam Walder just going through him there, as does Stefan. But it may have slightly put off some of those leaders. Thankfully, he does ghost and won't end up causing any major collisions. Mr. Business is closing rapidly on Stefan, and he might be in with it. He probably will be in with a chance of fighting the Ferrari as we get into the late stages of the race. It's a 1:12.5 on that occasion. The tyres are already getting noticeably worse, but everyone else's tyres are pretty much just as bad at this stage. So he's not going to take the win, but he never was going to anyway. Oh, Cookface has gone off again. Yeah, his race has been over for a while, but yeah, there's absolutely no chance he gets anything other than 13th now. But what, like, Polydromp is just pulling away out front. He's got this win comfortably sorted. But what can Mr. Business do? He is gaining noticeably on Stefan. Cookface is out of the race. Could that be a safety car in the last few laps? I don't think it will be on this occasion. You can see him in the wall there, possibly having lost his rear wheel. Dan's now with a chance of getting past Hart. He was ahead of him before he made that second pit stop, and he's right behind him now. He's not got the run just yet, but into turn 1, I doubt there'll be much that the Williams can do. He's going to fake the move to the inside, force Hart to go a little bit defensive. The Williams locks up, but there's no way through just yet. He's going to try again, though, as they go into turn number 1. Hart makes a mistake on the exit. Dan's not got the best of runs, but Hart gets a worse one, having slid at the last corner. And here comes the Haas. He's going to go around the outside of the Williams, where he's seen drivers get claimed by the wall so far this race. And he's going to have to back out. Hart defends that well to force the Haas to take the worst outside line. But Dan's going to try again. Round the outside of the chicane, switches to the inside, tries to switch back again, but there's no room. And again, Hart is going to live another few corners, and Dan is going to have to wait until basically the same point on the next lap. I think Mr. Business is undoubtedly closing in, but he's not going to close in enough. He's not going to be able to take the win. He might still be in with a chance of 4th, but I think those chances are pretty much gone as well. I think of 3rd. I think he's going to be set for 4th, which is where he was anyway. Or was he even 3rd? Like, he might have even been 3rd. Which, if he was, he's just lost out from making this pit stop. And Stefan is he's just in cruise control, as are all of the top 3, really. Mr. Business is still trying to push as much as he can, but he's going 8 tenths slower than his... Oh no, he's 4 tenths slower than his personal best in Sector 1 alone. There's not that much that can be done. Dan has got Barsart through that first sector, and the move will be done. The Haas is going to take that 5th place. But what could have been without that spin? And since then, Polytrump's been in absolute cruise control. Out front. Oh, Dan's gone off again! Just as I said that! He's gone off again. He's going to have killed those tyres. And Dan may not even score points in this race. He's going to have closing up right behind him. If he has to pit again, if he's ruined those tyres, I think he's giving up, if I'm honest with you. Yeah. Dan's giving up with this race. He's not going to be scoring points. From what could have been. I don't know if something's gone wrong. Have his brakes gone? His brakes might have gone. Either that or he's just not using them. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to brake. Has Dan's brakes failed at this late stage of the race? Because it's cost him pretty much everything. And Dan's out of the Dutch Grand Prix after 33 laps in it. He's not going to finish. Oh, 32 laps completed. He's not going to finish. I think the brakes went by the looks of things at the end. And that's just secured Hearts in that 5th place. Mr. Business is closing in further on Stefan, but with 5 seconds to go, he's not going to get it closed in time. Quality drop coming up to lap Spitfire Boy down in 11th place. We have 15 starters. At the moment, it looks like we're only going to have 11 finishers. Maybe less. I think it probably will just be the 11. Polydrop comes round to start lap 34. 3 laps to go. 3 short laps of this circuit Zandvoort. Polydrop has been lapping consistently in sort of the mid to high 13s. Stefan with a 13.8 there. Mr. Business does a 12.6. So he's still lapping comfortably faster than everyone else. 1.2 on Stefan. Is there still a chance? He's 1.2 seconds faster than Stefan on that last lap. He is still the fastest driver on the circuit by the looks of things. But is it enough? And the two McLarens close to one another on the circuit with Ahmed and DRE, but they might get involved in some fights, but Ahmed has a time bounty, so it won't affect their finishing position. Mike's going to get with a chance of fighting Hart at the end of the race, using those fresh mediums to good effect. Pitted the same lap as Mr. Business. Will he be able to get Stefan? He's still an awfully long way behind. I think it's going to be too much for the Aston Martin. 2 to go now for Polydrom. Has he had anything to do since Dan made that first mistake? 13.8 from Liam Wilder, 13.4 from Stefan, so he's gone a bit faster on the last lap, and only a 12.7 from Mr. Business. Only 7 tenths on this occasion. Yeah, and Stefan's pretty much secured that P3 now. He's going to take his first podium in what I think is actually his first race. Mr. Business will be annoyed with that 4th place, but should maintain the championship lead by 1 point. Here comes Mike, trying to get past Hearts as they go onto lap 35. 2 to go at the start of this one. He's not got the chance just yet to go for a move. I assume he's going to try again on the next lap. He's got more battery than the Williams, and he's got the opportunity to take that place away. Polydrop with carousel. Yeah, he's just in a great position here. He's 4.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field, just taking it through. Got nothing to try really at this stage. No point bothering with anything. He's just got it all in the bag as they begin the final lap of the race. And he's done absolutely everything right. Since he took the lead back from Dan, he's just been accelerating away. Well, watch this battle. For 5th place, Mike in the wheel tracks of Hart has a full battery to dump. Going into turn number 1. Will the Williams have enough? Or will the Hats be able to find the gap to go around? Round the outside through turn 1 into 2. He goes into the gravel. And that could be that 5th place gone. I don't think he's going to be close enough to close in again. But Polytrump, from like the start of the race, he's just made the most of the unpredictable start. The first few laps completely all over the place. But Polytrump comes around the last corner to win. The Dutch Grand Prix in reverse. Liam Walder going to come home in 2nd place. Stefan 3rd, Mr. Business, follows him across the line closely. 8/10 is the gap in the end, but he should maintain the championship lead in that 4th place. Mike trying to get past Hearts on the last lap. Went too bold, ended up in the gravel, and will take 6th place with the Williams coming home in 5th by the looks of things. It's going to be Mamba in 7th. Ahmed coming home in 8th with Om 9th. Clifty Clive in 10th by the looks of things. Ahmed gets past his teammate as they go into the last couple of corners. Hearts comes home in P5 as they just cross the line with Mike in P6, less than a second behind him. Ahmed will cross the line 7th, but he'll lose out on time penalties to his teammate who comes home in that 7th place. Om's going to get P9, having not pitted for so long in the race. And Clifty Clive will be the last driver across the line to come home in 10th and the final points paying position. Polytrump. It's a very well-deserved victory in the end. It would have been great to see Dan fighting him at the end. Cleanest driver goes to Mike in the race. Fastest lap for Dan. Race winner Polytrump. From pole, what could have been for Dan? He takes the 1 point. But it's Polytrump who wins. Liam Walder 2nd, Stefan with a very commendable 3rd. Mr. Business in 4th, up a couple of positions from 6th place. Hearts up 5, takes home 5th place. Then Mike, Mambra, Ahmed in 8th, I'm in 9th, having had that crash in qualifying. Clifty Clive with the last point of the race. Then Spitfire Boy, and not finishing is Dan, Cookface, Charlotte and EJ. Well, what a race that was, especially the start of it. And after that, I can't wait for next week. Hope you feel in a similar way. And we will see you then, 1 week's time. But until then,